Hey everybody, my name is Matt Smith. I'm here to help you study for your EPA 608 certification type 1 exam. If you're interested in this stuff, I already did one on the core system. It's a very extensive look at it, and I hope it'll be able to help you. As always, there will be questions in the comments section, and hopefully I'm going to be able to knock this out in one video. So I'll go ahead and get started. So without any further ado, we are talking about the EPA 608 Technician Certification Study Guide Type 1. Type 1 certification is for technicians who service small appliances. Small appliances including domestic refrigerators, window air conditioning units, PTACs, and vending machines. The Type 1 section of the exam contains 25 questions covering recovery requirements, recovery techniques, safety. Type 1 may also cover information found in core content such as suitable refrigerants and oils, general service and maintenance, recovery techniques, general safety, refrigerant cylinders for shipping. Recovery requirements. According to the EPA, a small appliance is one that is manufactured, charged, and hermetically sealed in a factory and contains 5 pounds or less refrigerant. A packed terminal air conditioner (PTAC) is an air conditioner unit commonly used in small dwellings such as a hotel room. A motorized vehicle air conditioner MVAC system does not fall under the small appliance regulations. Technicians that handle refrigerants during service, maintenance, or repair small appliance must have a Type 1 or universal certification. The sales of CFC and HCFC are restricted to certified technicians. If the EPA changes regulations after the technician is certified, it is the responsibility of the technician to comply with any future changes in the law. Recovery equipment manufactured before November 15, 1993 must be capable of recovering 80% of the refrigerant, whether or not the compressor is operating, or achieve a 4-inch vacuum under conditions of the ARI 740. Recovery equipment manufactured after November 15, 1993 must be capable of recovering 80% of the refrigerants without the compressor operating, or achieve a 4-inch vacuum under the conditions of the ARI 740. Be capable of recovering 90% of the refrigerants with the compressor operating to or achieve a 4-inch vacuum under conditions of AR 750. A must be approved by the EPA approved third-party laboratory. As of February 2012, EPA's Significant New Alternatives Policy, SNAP, that Significant New Alternatives Policy Program, states that isobutane R600A, propane R290, and R441A are acceptable alternatives subject to use conditions for CFC 12 and HCFC 22 in household refrigerators, freezers, and combination refrigerators and freezers. Prior to December 2017, these refrigerants were not approved for refitting. Rule 22 of SNAP, implemented December 11, 2017, allowed the use of R600A and R290 and R441A to retrofit applications. Recovery equipment fittings must be equipped with low-loss fittings which can be manually or automatically closed when disconnecting hoses to prevent refrigeration loss. All appliances must have a service aperture valve for recovering and charging refrigerants. For small appliances, the service aperture valve is typically a straight piece of tubing that is entered into with a piercing access valve. When servicing small appliances, it is not mandatory to perform a leak repair. However, it should be done whenever possible. Recovery techniques. Before beginning the refrigerant recovery process, you should always know the type of refrigerant in the system. One way to identify the refrigerant is by using the temperature/pressure chart. Never mix refrigerants in a recovery cylinder. If a reclamation facility receives a tank of mixed refrigerants, they may either refuse to process the refrigerant and return it at the owner's expense, or they may destroy the refrigerant but charge a substantial fee. If a recovery cylinder is suspected of being contaminated, the recovery cylinder must be turned in for reclamation. For small appliances, the technician may use either self-contained recovery devices or use a system-dependent recovery system. Self-contained active recovery equipment used its own power to recover the refrigerants from the system and incapable of reaching the required recovery rate with or without the compressor operating. The recovered refrigerant will, in a self-contained system, is stored in a pressurized recovery tank. Before operating a self-contained recovery device, make sure that the tank inlet valve is open and that the tank does not contain excessive air or condensables. Not opening the tank inlet valve or having excess air in the tank will cause a higher discharge pressure. Checking for air or non-condensables can be done by checking the pressure inside the recovery tank. References to the pressure temperature chart are only valid if the temperature is known. Therefore, when checking for non-condensable inside a recovery cylinder, allow the temperatures of the cylinders to stabilize to room temperature before taking a pressure reading. Refer to the recovery equipment instructions in order to purge air and non-condensables. All refrigerant recovery equipment should be checked for oil levels and refrigerant leaks on a daily basis. A system-dependent passive recovery process captures refrigerants in a non-pressurized container. The system-dependent equipment uses the system's compressors, an external heat source, or a vacuum pump to recover the refrigerant. A vacuum pump can only be used as a recovery device in combination with a non-pressurized container and cannot be used with self-contained recovery equipment. Pressurized containers. When using system-dependent recovery process with an operating compressor, run the compressor and recover from the high side of the system. Normally, one access fitting on the high side will be enough to reach the required recovery rate, as the compressor should be able to push the refrigerant to the high side. When using a system-dependent recovery process with a non-operating compressor, it may be necessary to access both low and high side of the system to achieve the required recovery levels, and it will speed up recovery. In order to release the trapped refrigerant from the compressor oil, it will be necessary to heat and tap the compressor with a mallet several times and or use a vacuum pump. If the appliance has a defrost heater, as commonly found in domestic refrigerators, operating the defrost heater will help vaporize any trapped liquid refrigerants and will speed up the recovery process. When installing an access fitting onto a sealed system, the fitting should be leak tested before proceeding with the recovery. It is generally recommended that the solderless piercing type valves only be used on copper and aluminum tubing. These fittings tend to leak over time and should not be left on appliances. As a permanent service fixture, after installing an access fitting, if the system pressure is 0 psig, do not start the recovery process, as there is no refrigerant in the system. Small appliances used in camper or other recreational vehicles, those campers, or other recreational vehicles, may use refrigerants not covered in Section 608, such as ammonia, hydrogen, or water, and therefore should not be recovered using the current EPA approval recovery device. Safety. As with any work with possible handling of hazardous chemicals or when working with fluids under pressure, butyl-lined gloves and safety glasses are required. When using nitrogen in repairing a sealed refrigerant system, the nitrogen tank must be equipped and used with the regulatory requirements. When FCC and HCFC refrigerants decompose at high temperatures, they create hydrofluoric acid, and phosphine gas. If a large leak from the CFC or the HCFC refrigerant cylinders occur, immediately vacate the area and naturally ventilated area if possible. These substances are heavier than air and will settle on the floor. If someone is observed to be unresponsive on the floor, it is in a enclosed area near a refrigerator or cylinder with a CFC refrigerant. Do not attempt to go in after them. This will make you a victim. Instead, immediately call for emergency services. Permanent safety markings, usually red in color, are required on household refrigerants that use any refrigerant with an A3 flammability rating, such as HCs, on or near any evaporators. Any exposed refrigerant tubing near the machine compartment and other exteriors of the refrigerators. The end. So that's it. So hopefully that helped you out with your type 1 side to the test. And I'm going to be producing more videos moving out. And don't forget that I've already produced quite a few core videos that has a lot of questions in there that you'd be able to use. Thank you so much. Have a great day. If you really want to be able to help me out, go ahead and like this and subscribe to my channel. It's I can't express to you my gratitude in advance. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I appreciate your time. Bye now.